So we can type in this amount due if we would like, or we can have QuickBooks auto-calculate it whenever we're adding expenses or items down at the bottom. The due date of the bill, so it will default typically to the first day. Or if you have your net terms set up, it will automatically recognize those net terms and fill in the bill due date automatically. So we can see here, bill due is 1/12/2018. This is exactly 30 days from today. So it's recognized that our net 30 terms, and it's put in the bill due date accordingly. Then if we had a memo, we could put in any memo here. This is just something to track on the bill itself. And then we have our expenses and items. So these are, we can write a bill specifically to an expense account. So if we wanted to write something directly to bank service charge, or if we wanted to write something directly to janitorial expense, something like that, we can write a bill directly to those expenses. Well, since we're not getting any of that right now, we're going to, and we need to receive some items, we're going to go ahead and select the other tab to the right, which is called Items. Now, this is where we would want to add the items that we're receiving. So what items we received from our vendor, Big John's Vendor Emporium. So we're going to say we received some widget 1s, and we're going to say that we received some widget 2s. And we didn't set up a purchase description for them. If we had, it would display here. And then it wants to know the quantity. So we'll say that we're bringing in 500 of these, and we'll say that we're bringing in 1,000 of these. We can see the next column is our cost. So again, these are $5 a piece. These are $15 a piece. We can see our total amount due now for the 500 that we ordered here and the 1,000 that we ordered here. If we ordered these for a specific customer, we can fill that information out here. And if we did this for a job, this is of course where we would be getting our job costing, is if we added the customer or job to the bill. So we are associating these, we are associating these items to this job, and we're paying this much for them. So this is where we're going to get our cost of goods sold. So what we can do now is we can simply come up to the top, we can hit save, and we can see here it did automatically fill out the amount due. So we'll go ahead and hit save. We have our bill, and now if we go back to our vendor center, so if we go to vendors, vendor center, we can see that now with Big John's, we currently have an open balance with them, and then it lists the transaction off to the right over here. We can sort this quick list down. This will display every transaction associated with this particular vendor. So if we wanted to narrow it down and we didn't want to see all transactions, maybe we just wanted to see bills or bill payments, we could do that here. So we've received our bill, we've received our inventory, we've gotten it all in stock. We can now go to our items list if we wanted. We can see that now we do see a total quantity on hand over here. We have our 500 and our 1,000 that we ordered. So now we need to pay that bill. And the way that we're going to do that is we can go back to our home screen. We'll go ahead and close out of the bill. And if we come up to the top, we can go to Vendor Pay Bills, or we can go to, before we did Enter Bills, so now we need to Pay Bills, so we can select this one. So if we pay our bill, we can see that this is the only bill that we currently have sitting here. If we had multiple vendors with multiple bills spread out across each of them, it's going to dump them all here all together. However, we can filter this list down by vendor specifically. So if we only wanted to see Big John's bills, we could simply select this, and this is only going to show bills that we owe to Big John. So we can select the bill. It's going to automatically put out the amount to pay in full as $17,500. At the bottom, we can go to the bill specifically if we wanted to. So if we wanted to take another look at it, if we had any credits with this vendor, we could set the credits here and it would reduce this amount to pay down. Our payment date is going to be here. So if we needed to predate or postdate a paycheck or a check to the vendor, we could do that here. And then if we had our method here, so we can either pay with check or credit card. There is no ACH option here. Typically, if we're paying via ACH or EFT or electronic transfer, we would just select check, and then we can denote that in the next screen, and I'll go ahead and show that to us. So we're going to go ahead and hit check. Then we can select to be printed, or we can assign a check number. Now the biggest difference between these is to be printed means that we want to actually print a physical copy of this check. Maybe we don't want to do that. We've already written a check or something like that, or maybe it's ACH or EFT and we don't actually need to print a check. We can just go to assign check number. Maybe we already wrote the check and we know the check number. So we can go to assign check number, and then it wants to know what bank account we want to pay this bill out of. So if we have multiple different bank accounts that we could choose, we could select the drop down and it would list out all of our bank accounts here. Since we only have the one, we're just going to go ahead and select the big bank. Now, up at the top, if we didn't want to pay this bill in full, maybe we only wanted to pay half now and half later, we could simply come into the amount to pay, change this number to be whatever we wanted, and then that would leave a remaining balance, and this amount due would update with the new amount due that we needed to pay. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and hit pay selected bill. And it wants to know what the check number is. So before, this is the biggest difference. So we said that we want to assign a check number. So if we had written a check number, maybe 1107, we would simply select that. Maybe we paid with ACH or EFT, so we could simply put ACH or EFT. Kind of depends on whichever preferred method you would like to track this, but it works either way. So we'll go ahead and put EFT for now, and then we hit OK. Then this is a payment summary screen, so we can see that our payment account was Big Bank, payment method was check. We paid via EFT. The date due, excuse me, was 1/12/2018. We went ahead and paid it today though, and this was to Big John's Vendor Emporium for the amount of $17,500. Now we could go back to pay more bills, or we could simply say we're done, and we're done. So we'll go ahead and select done. Next, we'll kind of need to go through the customer side of it. So let's say that we have now created our bank account, we've created items, we created vendors, we received a bill from our vendor because we received items from them, we paid our vendor. Now it's time for us to actually make money. And so the way we do that is, of course, by selling our goods to customers. So the first thing we need to do is create some customers. So if we come over here to customers, we can see we have our customer list information here. Currently we don't have any, so let's go ahead and take care of that. So we'll go ahead and right click and we'll go to new customer. And we'll go ahead and give our customer a name. So we have Carla, and Carla is going to be purchasing some widgets from us. And again, we have all of this information that we can associate with Carla. So if we had a company name for Carla, maybe she works for a specific business, or maybe it's just Carla. So we can just enter Carla again. And then if we had a contact at this company, or maybe this is just an individual, it's kind of whatever we want to do. So we can get as granular with this again as we want. So again, we can put in the main phone, work phone, mobile, all the email addresses, website, thing like that. And then again, if we had the address information, we could go ahead and enter that information here. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. We'll go down to our payment settings. So again, if we have an account number, if we have payment terms with Carla, we can go ahead and set those here. If we had a preferred payment method from Carla, we could go ahead and set that here as well. If Carla had a credit limit with us, or if she had a price level with us. So on the customer side, maybe we have a tiered pricing system. So let's say that we had different levels of, or different tiers. So if we had like a gold versus bronze versus, diamond or platinum or things like that, and the higher the tier, the bigger the discount they get. We could set that price level here so that if Carla was a, let's say, platinum level member, they get an additional 20% off of whatever their purchase is. So we could set that up, and then that would automatically apply to any time we invoice them. Then if we wanted to store her credit card information, we could do that here. So we could put in the credit card name, address, zip code, things like that. We have some sales tax settings here. So if they're tax exempt, if they have a resale number, things like that, we can store all of that information here. And then underneath additional info, we have what type of customer they are. So we could, if we wanted to track if they were referral or if they were retail, wholesale, kind of whatever we want to keep track of here. And then if we had a sales representative that works specifically with this customer, we could track that here.